Here we go, top of the hour. I'm Brooke Baldwin. You're watching CNN. Thank you so much for being with me. We're going to continue that breaking news coverage here out of North Korea, this potential game changer in the world standoff over North Korea's nuclear weapons. The Washington Post is now reporting that North Korea has produced a miniaturized nuclear warhead that can fit inside its missiles. Essentially, a nuke small enough to be strapped to an intercontinental ballistic missile or an ICBM, that final frontier in Kim Jong-un's missile program that nuclear experts have been fearing for years. So let's begin with Ryan Brown, who's live at the Pentagon for us on this. And so, I mean, as you well know, North Korea has been escalating threats to hit the U.S. mainland. So if this Washington Post, Ryan, if this Post report proves to be true, how much more dangerous did North Korea just become?
Well, a lot more dangerous. Again, there are still some things that would need to be assessed here. This Washington Post report citing a Defense Intelligence Agency assessment that North Korea has the ability to miniaturize these weapons onto missiles. But again, there are a couple other capabilities that might need to be developed in order for them to successfully launch an ICBM against the United States. One would be the ability to target, a targeting system. Have they refined that capability yet? The other is reentry. Can the missile with the warhead intact re-enter the Earth's atmosphere in one piece as it approaches a target? These are other things that need to be worked out. But again, a major development, if this assessment is accurate, this is a major advancement in the North Korean nuclear weapons program. Again, the Post story noting that it's unclear if these smaller warheads have been tested yet, but still a concerning development. And again, this is something that military planners here in the United States, including Chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, General Dunford, has said the military has long worked under the assumption that North Korea has this capability in its planning and its preparation of missile defense, things of that nature. So they've worked under that assumption, but this is kind of the first assessment that really says that North Korea now has this capability.
All right, Ryan, stand by. I want to bring in Elise Labott, CNN Global Affairs correspondent, and Tom Kalina. Tom has 25 years of experience in nuclear weapons, missile defense, and non-proliferation issues. And he's also policy director at the Plowshares Fund, a foundation working to prevent the spread and use of weapons in war. So welcome to both of you. And Tom, just first to you, just your reaction to this report that Kim Jong-un's regime has crossed this major threshold, reportedly.
Yeah, reportedly. I think the most dangerous thing about the situation right now is you have two unexperienced, bombastic leaders that are now pointing nuclear weapons at each other. It's a dangerous situation. It's a very unstable situation that could quickly stumble into catastrophe. You know, mistakes, misidentification of cues. Again, neither one of these leaders have much experience doing this. So the first thing we need to do is try to sit down, get these two leaders to sit down, the two sides to sit down and start talking. How are we going to defuse this situation? How are we going to bring some stability to this very unstable situation so that we don't stumble into war? That's the primary thing we have to do right now.
And Elise, just, coming off of Tom's point, I mean, you were making a point a moment ago on TV about Otto Warmbier, who sadly died, but clearly there was a conversation about getting him home from North Korea, some sort of maybe back channel between the U.S. and North Korea. We know Secretary Tillerson did recently say that, the conversation with the foreign minister would be on the table. How imminent could that happen?
I don't think we're talking about, imminent in the next, days or weeks, Brooke, but certainly Secretary Tillerson is trying to lay the groundwork, sending a pretty not so subtle message to the North Koreans. We're ready to talk. Send us a signal, a positive sign. I just want to say about Tom's point about, the leaders. I mean, certainly on Kim Jong-un, he's known as erratic. He's known as unpredictable. But I don't think that U.S. officials are going on the assumption that he's crazy. I mean, certainly he could be irrational, but I think that there's a belief that this leader knows that if he were to launch a nuclear weapon, that would spell the end of his regime. And everything about this regime is about regime survival. So clearly the U.S. has to be ready. It has to have its defenses up. It has to have some kind of deterrent against North Korea. And as Ryan said, the U.S. has been working on the assumption that if North Korea isn't there right now with miniaturizing and having all the ingredients to assemble and launch and test a nuclear weapon, that they're there, that they're going to be there soon. But certainly I think that the U.S. wants to have a diplomatic solution. It's putting out the signals that it would like to have that. And I don't think they think that this is a crazy leader who they don't think that they can talk to.
Well, on the crazy leader note, and Tom, let me pose this to you. I was listening to Colonel Francona, who a moment ago posed the question, is Kim Jong-un suicidal, homicidal, or rational? How would you answer that?
He is not suicidal. The Kim regime has survived for decades. If there's anything they care about, it is self-preservation. They are not suicidal. They know very well, I agree, they know very well that if they attack the United States, they will be attacked in response, and North Korea will be toast, quite frankly. They realize that, and so we don't need to panic here. I mean, just because North Korea has this threatening capability does not mean they will use it. There is time to sit down with North Korea and talk with them and bring some stability to this otherwise dangerous situation.
So I hear both of you guys saying talking needs to be on the table, but Elise, how fast does this timetable need to move up on the talking if this report is true?
Well, I mean, I think, Brooke, what you have right now that you might have not had during the Obama administration is this kind of credible threat of using force against North Korea. We're hearing, we've heard about it over the years, but you've seen President Trump with Syria, that he was prepared to use military force. I think that now when the U.S. says, when Nikki Haley says, or when H.R. McMaster talks about military action, that's not to say that the U.S. is going to go ahead and do that. But I think in Kim Jong-un's mind, he looks around and says, it's possible that that President Trump would launch some kind of military action. He just doesn't know. I mean, President Obama a lot of times would talk tough and then wouldn't take any kind of robust action. And so I think that there is a desire to talk. I think they need to do it sooner rather than later. I agree that there is some time, and that while we shouldn't, I don't think our viewers should panic that North Korea is about to launch a nuclear weapon that could hit the continental United States. But just the fact that they have that capability makes them that much more important and dangerous of an adversary, and it's going to bring a lot more to get them to a table and get them to have some kind of deal.
So last question. If the capability is there, Tom, what would provoke North Korea to use one of these missiles ever?
If the United States were to panic and launch some sort of preemptive strike, then there's no telling what North Korea could do, either to South Korea or to Japan or to the United States. So again, we don't want to panic. We don't want to stumble into a response that would be counterproductive. We don't want to make a mistake here. And the danger is that neither leadership is very experienced with these very high tension, stressful situations. So we need to get on the same wavelength. The United States needs to talk to North Korea and say, if you do this, it means this. We know if you do this, it means this. So we need to have better understanding about where the red lines are, and to establish firmly that if North Korea attacks us, it would be the end of their regime. I think they know that, but it would be nice to confirm it so that we don't have to worry about a surprise attack.
Right. Tom and Elise, thank you.